I'm Jessica Vaughn from the Center for Immigration Studies. We're a Washington-based research institute on immigration, obviously. I am lucky enough to be able to do my job from my home in Franklin, Mass. And I wanted to talk to you today about potential additional test for the governor, as Bill alluded to. We hope not, but many of you are familiar with the perennial efforts to by the legislature and the advocacy groups for illegal aliens to direct the Registry for Motor Vehicles to issue driver's licenses to illegal aliens, to allow them to obtain that. Those efforts for years have not succeeded, first of all because they're very unpopular, it's a bad policy, but also because they would have made our state license further out of compliance with the Federal Real ID Act. And that has been something that the legislature has also weighed very heavily in their considerations of this bill, but I think mainly it's because they know it's very unpopular. But now they have succeeded in raising that possibility outside of the regular process of passing a bill, which I want to explain to you. But there is a real threat now that this could be enacted. The governor has wants to bring Massachusetts licenses into compliance with Real ID. Under Governor Patrick, they were not for a number of different reasons. And so he needs legislation to do that. And he introduced kind of a wishy-washy proposal on Massachusetts licenses, which would create a two-tier system, a very secure, federally Real ID compliant driver's license, and what they call the Massachusetts license, which would not, in certain ways, be compliant with Real ID. But the governor was very clear in his proposal. He said no licenses may be issued or will be issued to people here illegally. Brad Jones in the House introduced this. It never passed, muster as a bill, a standalone bill. So right now, Massachusetts licenses are not compliant, and people who need a secure, federally compliant license are having trouble when they want to enter secure areas of federal buildings. For example, if you're a researcher and you want to go to a certain conference at a DoD facility or other government buildings around the country, you can't do it because our license is not up to snuff. So for some reason he introduced this two-tier plan, but was very clear that none to illegal aliens. Since it didn't pass as a bill, Brad Jones in the House introduced it as an amendment to the budget bill, which is a must-pass piece of legislation. The governor's version, that passed. When it got to the Senate side, Bruce Tarr introduced the same thing, and it includes a number of other upgrades to the license. For example, it says that if you get a driver's license and you're here as a foreign student, your license will expire when your student visa expires, which is something that we've been missing for a long time. So Bruce Tarr introduces it on the Senate side. The chair of the Joint Transportation Committee, Tom McGee from Lynn, a Democrat, introduced a substitute amendment which keeps everything else almost the same, but says that the registry may issue the lesser Massachusetts license to people who are here illegally. That passed, although 7 Democrats voted with the 6 Republicans against it, which is important because it's not quite 2/3 of the Senate who were in favor of it. So now the budget bill has gone to conference, and there are 6 conferees from the legislature who are working out all these differences between the House and Senate bills, and they need to decide, are they going to go with the Senate bill, which allows the issuance of driver's licenses to illegal aliens, or with the House version, which has the governor's language. So a coalition of activist groups on immigration are urging their members to contact the 6 conferees who are going to be deciding on this issue. We don't know how long it's going to take to resolve it. It's a big, important bill, but I'm told by legislative staff that typically they're not going to dawdle on this bill. They've been working on it for about a week. So there's not much time. So we're urging everyone to contact the conferees to let them know about this provision. It hasn't been covered. I've had a horrible time trying to get members of the media to write about it and talk about it. Nobody knows there's a difference, and we all know what happens when the legislature thinks that no one is paying attention. They do something bad. So we're also asking people to contact the governor's office to make a clear statement that he would veto that line item in the budget bill that would provide licenses to illegal aliens. Because he has stated very clearly that he's not in favor of that. His own proposal did not include that measure. So I believe that if he were to issue a veto threat, that would help the legislators do the right thing and go with the House version. That's the key issue. Ask them to go with the House version of the Real ID amendment to the budget bill. I have some more details on it with the names and contact information for the conferees. If any of you are interested in sharing this information or using it, I'd be happy to answer any questions about it. But there are three ways this can be killed. The conferees go with the House version, or the governor uses a line item veto, and that would have to be overridden by 2/3 of the legislators, and I don't believe that they have that right now. Or, if it does ultimately pass, the governor could decline to implement it, but it would still be there on the books for a future governor, or he could, come under pressure to implement it. So it needs to be just killed.
Can it just not come up at all? Can they just deep six it?
I understand that is a possibility, that they could just drop it, but then we have the problem that the Massachusetts license still is not federally compliant, and people who need that compliant license are still going to be barred with convenience. So
right.
It has to pass. We want it to pass. We want the good version.
Questions?
You might not be able to answer this, but why do we need 2 licenses in Massachusetts?
Good question. I don't understand why the governor came up with that idea. I think he was trying to please a lot of people, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, most states do not do it. Those that have created that 2-tiered license, it's a window for, in the future, issuing licenses to illegal aliens. I want to make another point. It doesn't go well in states that have started issuing licenses to illegal aliens. And our registry is a mess right now with respect to verifying identity. Some of you may have read about the huge gang bust, the second one this year that just took place on Thursday. If you look at it, many of those individuals who are here illegally had Massachusetts licenses. You can tell by the pictures that they're using to identify them. This is something that needs to be addressed pretty urgently, and so we need to pass the bill. But I don't understand the 2-tier thing.
Sheila?
Who are the conferees?
Brian Dempsey, Sal DiDomenico, Vinny DiMacedo, Karen Spilka.
Sorry, Vinny DiMacedo, Brian Dempsey,
Sal DiDomenico, Karen Spilka, Stephen Kulik, K-U-L-I-K, Todd Smolla. So it's 2 Republicans and 4 Democrats. Basically, 2 Democrats need to be right. That's pretty much the matter.
I read the press release yesterday on the bust of 66 individuals. I read the press release from ICE. And in that whole press release, they didn't mention one word about immigration status. And I asked myself, why are they involved? Is there, what's the cut? It was the customs side of it? Why are they involved?
They were involved because many of them were either here
There was
illegally.
hardly a mention of it.
Well, we can't say that. It might offend somebody. The Obama administration just changed the Department of Homeland Security's mission statement to talk about, to downplay enforcement and security and talk about our values that we share, protecting our values, not our security.
Minutes?
I was in court on a totally unrelated case about 1.5 years ago, and I saw something that really was quite remarkable. A woman who was an illegal alien
who was being brought back to court a third time, who had been stopped by the police in each occasion, turning out not to have a driver's license, who had been told by the same judge to go to driver's school, who had not. And each time she was being fined about $300. So the court system was producing money from this person. This woman had been told by the judge, go to driver's school, come back with your license, not a problem. And she had not even done that, and yet again was being brought through the system, told to go to driver's school, third time, and was being fined again and being put back out on the street. And it beggars the whole system that she was even ignoring the requirement to go to driver's school, which is almost like a free pass, but wasn't even doing that. But the most important part of this is that the court system is now functioning to produce revenue rather than to enforce laws.
And are we surprised that someone, by their very presence here, is in complete contempt of our laws, is showing contempt for other laws?
Jessica, thank you.
Thank you.